We begin this morning with the words Kol HaNishama Tehallel Yah. Let all of my breath give thanks. We are going to sing this melody twice in unison to give you the feel of it, and then we're going to break it down into a 3-part round to get our spiritual juices flowing here. Kol HaNishama. And we turn to page 127. Return us, return us. We will turn. In the heaviness of this day of Yom Kippur, there is also so much joy that I feel that we, as a people all over this world, are coming together to say, we can change, we can do better. We are intentionally looking at our lives, examining who we are, our actions in the world, making right what we can. And that is so joyful and hopeful to me. So we sing these words, Hashivenu, return me to that pure place in myself. we keep reminding each other through this day, return to yourself. We can't do this alone for sure, but we can do it in this community and knowing that we are connected to communities all over the world who are doing this work of Yom Kippur, of this striving for at-one-ment.
Return to who you are. We turn to page 156. Reading together in the English, a blessing for the opportunity, for the gift that is another day in our bodies. Please read with me. Blessed are you, Holy One, who has formed the human body with wisdom, an intricate network of channels, vessels, and openings. This wondrous structure and the flow of life within us allows us to stand before you and give thanks. Let us cherish this gift of flesh and blood, honor it as God's creation. Baruch atah Adonai, rofer chol basar umafli la'asot. We praise you, Holy One, for wondrous acts of creation and healing. Continue on page 158. Tradition teaches that there is a pure soul in each of us, and each day is an opportunity to live in new relation to it and the world.
Elohai Neshama Shenatatabi Elohai Neshama Shenatatabi Tehorahi You created me, you shaped me, you breathed me into life. You created me, you shaped me, you breathed me into life. Elohai Neshama Shenatatabi Elohai Neshama Shenatatabi Tehorahi
Four.
Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam. Baruch she'amar Baruch hu. Baruch oseh v'reshit. Baruch Omer ve'oseh. Praise be the one who spoke and the world came to be. Praise be the source of creation. Praise be the one who spoke and the world came to be. Praise be Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam. Baruch she'amar Baruch Hu. Baruch Oseh Bereshit. Baruch Omer ve'oseh. Praise be the one who spoke and the world came to be. Praise be the source of creation. Praise be the one who spoke and the world came to be. Praise be God Baruch Hu. Praise be God Baruch Hu. Praise be God Baruch Hu.
We turn to page 173. Hamalka hayoshevet al kisei ram v'nisa shochena ad marom v'kadosh shemo v'chatuv ranenu tzadikim baronai laisharim navatehila befi yisharim titromam uvdivrei tzadikim titbarach Uvilshon chasidim titkadash, uvekerev kiddoshim tithalal, v'makalot revivot amcha, Beit Yisrael, b'rini yipayar shimcha malkeinu, yishtabach shimcha la'ad malkeinu. Baruch Ata Adonai, El Melech Gadol Batishbachot, El HaHodaot Adon HaNiflaot, Habocher B'shirei Zimara, Melech Elchei HaOlamim. Please rise and body your spirit.
Yit kadal v'yit kadash shemeh rabbah be'alema divrach yiruteh ve'yamlich malchuteh b'chayechon uve'yomechon uv'chayei decho Beit Yisrael ba'akala uvizman kariv v'imeru amen. Yeheshme rabba mevarach la'alam ol almei almaya yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha berichu le'elah ule'elah Mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imeru amen.
Continue with our Baruch, our call to prayer into the sanctuary, page 178. May learning your Torah light up our eyes. May our hearts embrace your mitzvot. May we never be ashamed.
And you can follow these profound words at the bottom of page, the last two lines on page 182, and then the top three lines on page 184. And in the choir, we spend some time talking about the way music is written and what captures our hearts, what goes to our hearts, and how some songs, how some prayers just feel that we've known them our whole lives, even when we're just learning them for the first time. And there's a brilliance in the way so many of our prayers and our compositions are created. And I just want to point out to you all how amazing it is. We start very low. May our learning of Torah light up our eyes. May our hearts embrace your mitzvot. And then the melody starts to rise up so that the top point, the highest point, is when we sing the words, Velo nevosh. May we not feel shame. May we live in alignment. And now we're starting to cook. Le'ahava u'yirat et shemecha ve'lo nevash le'olam. And say it again. Ve'lo nevash le'olam le'olam va'ed. All right, we're going to start it all over again. Feel it in your toes. B'toratecha, b'toratecha, v'dabek libeinu, b'mitzvotecha, b'mitzvot. All right, now it's rising up. Here we go. Ve'yachel levaveinu le'ahava u'yirat et shemecha ve'lo nevash le'olam va'ed ve'lo nevash le'olam le'olam va'ed ve'yached levaveinu le'ahava u'yirat et all right, here we go.
Page 185.
Yeah, you can go back to your seats.
You are the one who unites all things, who links life to life in a sacred chain. The forests anchored in the soil breathe air into our lungs. Our faces are reflected in the creatures of earth. We carry the sea within us. Our fate is connected to rivers and deserts. Our family, a many-branched tree of life. All beings intertwine in you. All are encompassed in Adonai Echad. Thus, no person is an island. No soul exists apart. To say Echad is to know this truth, to see the whole world, humankind undivided. Precious and holy are these words we speak. Adonai Echad, we proclaim you one. The Shema is on page 186. Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem
ומלכותו לעולם ועד.
Thank you. We continue on page 188 with the Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
96, with the words the Israelites sang when they crossed to freedom, words of prayer for the day when all are free.
Ay, alay, la, 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 ya, la, 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 mi כמוך בערים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, יאללה 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 יאללה
On page 198, we say the words that prepare us to enter the Amidah, the series of blessings at the heart of our service this morning. The Hebrew for the prayers we will be chanting fall on the even-numbered pages that follow. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit for the Amidah.
Na 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 Adonai, na 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 Svatah Tiftach, na 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 Ufi Yagid Teilatecha, na 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 Adonai, na 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 Svatah Tiftach, na 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 Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, na 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 Adonai, na 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 ופי יגיד תהילתך, אדוני, שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך, שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
You may be seated. Page 208. Please read with me. Our sovereign, God of pardon and forgiveness, Let these words of sanctity ascend to you. Let us proclaim the power of this day, a day whose holiness awakens awe and inspires highest praise for your dominion. For your throne is a throne of love. Your reign is a reign of truth. In truth, you are judge and plaintiff, counselor and witness. You inscribe and seal. You record and recount. You remember all that we have forgotten. And when you open the book of memories, it speaks for itself. For every human hand leaves its mark, an imprint like no other.
ובשופר גדול ייתקע וכל דממה דקה יישמע ומלאכים יחפזון וחיל ורעדה יוחזון ויאמרו הנה יום הדין לבכות על צבא מרום בדין כי לא יזכו ועיניך בדין וכל באי עולם יעברון לפניך יעברון לפניך כי ונאמרון כי ונאמרון כבקרת רועד מעביר צונו תחת שבטו כן תעביר ותספור ותמנה כן תעביר ותספור ותמנה ותפקוד נפש כל חי ותחתוך קצבה לכל בריאה ותכתוב את גזר דינם.
Page 212.
בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון. בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון. כמה יעבירון וכמה יבראון, מי יחיה ומי ימות, מי וקיצו ומי לא וקיצו. בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון. בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון. מי באש ומי במים, מי בחרב ומי בחיה, מי ברעב ומי בצמא, רעש וממגפה, מחניקה ומסקילה. בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון. בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון. מי ינוח ומי ינוע, מי ישקיט ומי יטורף, מי ישלב ומי יתייסר, מי יעני ומי יעשיר, מי יושפל ומי ירום.
Together we read, on Rosh Hashanah this is written, on the fast of Yom Kippur this is sealed. How many will pass away from this world? How many will be born into it? Who will live and who will die? Who will reach the ripeness of age? Who will be taken before their time? Who by fire and who by water? Who by war and who by beast? Who by famine and who by drought? Who by earthquake and who by plague? Who by strangling and who by stoning? Who will rest and who will wander? Who will be tranquil and who will be troubled? Who will be calm and who tormented? Who will live in poverty and who in prosperity? Who will be humbled and who exalted? Uteshuva, utefila, utzedaka, ma'avirin et roa hagezera. Through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree. We continue at the bottom of 214. You are everything that we praise you for, slow to anger, quick to forgive. You do not wish the death of sinners, but urge them to return from their ways and live. Until the day of death, you wait for them. You accept them at once if they return. Since you created us, you know our impulses. We are but flesh and blood. Return to page 218 and rise in body or in spirit as you are able.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו, אדוני, אדוננו, מה אדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. Adonai le'olam, Elohai Zion, ledor vador. Hallelujah. Ledor vador nagid God lecha, ulenetzach netzachim kedushatcha nakdish, v'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai HaMelech HaKadosh.
Remaining standing, we turn to page 252 for Avinu Malkeinu.
Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu Va'al Olaleinu V'Tapenu. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu, kale deve v'cherev v'ra'av me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, kale kol tsar umastin me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, kotvenu b'sefer chayim tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, chadesh aleinu shana tova. Avinu Malkeinu, renew us for a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, malei yadeinu mibirchotecha. Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessings. Avinu Malkeinu, harem keren mishichecha. Avinu Malkeinu, let our eyes behold the dawn of redemption. Avinu Malkeinu, na'el tishivenu reika milfanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, we pray, do not turn us away from you with nothing. Avinu Malkeinu, kabel barachamim uvratzon et tefilatenu. Avinu Malkeinu, welcome our prayer with love, accept and embrace it. Avinu Malkeinu, aseh imanu lema'an shemecha. Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name. Avinu Malkeinu, aseh lema'an cha'im lo lema'anenu. Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake if not for ours. Avinu Malkeinu, ein lanu melech ela ata. Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our sovereign. Avinu Malkeinu, petach sha'arei shamayim litfilatenu. Avinu Malkeinu, let the gates of heaven be open to our prayer. Avinu Malkeinu, shema kolenu, chus v'rachem aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice, treat us with tender compassion. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu ve'anenu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu ve'anenu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu ve'anenu, ki ein banu ma'asim.
You may be seated. A thing I've noticed about Shir Tikvah is that it feels so familiar.
Thank you.
You see a face and you sort of automatically smile and just feel like, oh, I know them and they know me. And that's an incredible thing in this lonely world. But the thing also about Shir Tikvah is that we can't take that for granted, and we don't take it for granted. We take the time to listen, to hear the stories of people who are in our community, whose faces are so familiar as to be comforting, but when actually we may not know that much about them. And we take this time in sacred community on sacred days because we believe in the holiness of each story, that there is wisdom to learn by listening. And so it's an honor to have Lynn Brodsky offering her spiritual journey this morning. Yep.
I thank Beth and Rabbi, sorry. It was on. I thank Beth and Rabbi Carey for the invitation to say these words to you today and their support that helped get me here. Years ago, I could not have told you what the terms spiritual and spirituality meant. Maybe spirituality was about seances and Ouija boards. Later, I thought it had something to do with religion. I knew I was Jewish because I was born that way, but I thought spirituality was something other people had, but not me. So I'll start at the beginning. I come from a storied German Jewish family who settled in the Midwest and South almost 200 years ago. Our diet was in no way kosher or vegetarian. Although my mother abandoned the custom, her mother put up a Christmas tree in every one of her 100 years. Our family was involved with Hebrew Union College in Cincinnati, and we attended Sunday school at the local Reformed Temple in Louisville. There, we learned about ethics and a little Hebrew. Instead of B'nai Mitzvahs, we were confirmed as a group in the 10th grade. At home, we learned to give to charity, not to lie, steal, or cheat, how to write thank you notes, even for the smallest gift, good manners, and to remember those good manners when interacting with our elders, and particularly with Black people who lived very separate lives from families like ours. Feeling something was missing, I began attending Friday night services, and without any teacher or formal instruction, took it upon myself to read the Torah when I was 13. Because of something I read there, I resolved never to have my ears pierced. We moved to New York when I was in high school. There, I had the opportunity to meet Rabbi Balfour Brickner, who taught that we are obligated to pursue political and social activism in the causes of peace, nonviolence, democracy, and equity. These teachings took root and represented what I thought Judaism was all about when I was in high school. Fast forward to my arrival in Boston in 1979 for medical school. I decided to keep kosher as part of exploring my Jewish heritage. That same grandmother objected pretty strongly to this, but I went ahead with it and also attended Orthodox synagogues. Later, I attended Havarat Shalom in Somerville, which uses a largely Hebrew liturgy in which the syntax has been changed from masculine to feminine where possible. One Yom Kippur, I was sitting on the floor, which is where we sat during services when we were still young enough to do that. I was contemplating the literal meaning of the prayers in the book and realized that even without the masculine dominant syntax, the prevalent concept of God did not resonate with me, and I could no longer engage with it. From that day, I stopped going to any religious services and did not even enter a synagogue, except for family occasions such as a bris, b'nai mitzvah, wedding, or funeral. In 2016, Rob, my husband of 30 years, died 5 weeks before the November election. We all know what happened then. During that year of taking care of him and watching him suffer, I listened to public rhetoric that felt abusive. I came out of that year feeling battered. That Friday night after the November election, I felt the need to be with my people and attend Friday night services, something I had not thought about in decades. I did not make it at that point, and I did not even know where to go. I had known for many years that Amy Travis and Beth Cohen were members of a temple in Winchester. Although I had attended their sons' bar mitzvahs there, I did not remember much else about Temple Shir Tikvah. Then in 2017, Charlottesville happened. I had been reading and learning everything I could about African American history and our racist roots for about a year. I worked on some anti-racism programs with the Winchester Unitarian Society, where I know many members. Later that summer, I heard somewhere that Temple Shir Tikvah was hosting an open house. I remember going in hopes of finding free food. Indeed, I filled up on lox and met a number of welcoming members. My single question was, what activities do you do here at the temple to promote social justice or to fight racism? I was delighted to learn that there are plenty of these activities and that I could do them with my people as much as I like my friends the Unitarians. Plus, I felt it wouldn't be right for me to pick apples from the trees on the property without being a member. So I joined right away. I am over 30 years older now than when I left synagogue life in response to my discomfort with what seemed like a focus on an anthropomorphic God who intervenes in the world in a material way. Today, the solution to this problem seems so simple that I don't know why I could not see it earlier. Without people, there are no prayers. We sing about it all the time, Tfilat Ha'adam, the prayer of man. Every one of our prayers was written by someone, canonized by someone, and venerated, studied, recited, or heard by millions of people through more than 100 generations of Jewish history, all the way down to us in the present day. Our prayers have survived because people, all of us, carry all manner of intentions when we engage with our prayers. So I feel comforted when I participate in our services because everyone there, including me, brings our hopes and fears, like wanting to exist, to thrive, to be seen, to feel supported, to be remembered, to experience joy, to connect, to transcend, to be able to make sense out of uncertainty and death. And yes, even to worship a creative power that is beyond all imagining. So what matters the most to me now? Community, community, community. The people here at Temple Shir Tikvah are my community, as are Jews everywhere, as long as there has been and will be a Jewish community. I can come into this space and feel completely at home with who I am and who everyone here is. Then there's the singing. I have always loved to sing and dance. During med school and residency, I helped write, produce, and perform in our comedic musical shows. One of my classmates was an orchestral composer. He supervised our show and once asked me not to sing where he could hear me because he was not happy with my intonation. I was mortified and for decades did not sing a single note alone or with others until I came here. It took about 2 Friday nights for me to feel at home with the music, with my voice, and with singing with others. Over the past 6 years, our group singing has given me great joy. When we sing together, I am immersed in an ocean of pure love. Our beautiful High Holy Days musical selections, sung in Town Hall with Beth leading several hundred members of our community, transport me to a place of infinite beauty. I'm just going to take a moment. I have to read it. Whatever, whoever, wherever God is, it is here. I meet weekly with small groups where we study our Bible and the Talmud respectively. These books chronicle the Jewish origin story and early history. Study of these ancient texts has been instrumental in the survival of the Jewish people through millennia of persecution, displacement, and assimilation. Where else but Temple Shir Tikvah would the rabbi invite you to consider how the Talmud is like Barbie? The Talmud was subversive for its time because it totally reinvented Jewish life in a way to remain faithful to the spirit of the Torah without being totally constrained by it. It provided a guide for Jews at the time to adjust to the total destruction of their previous way of life and religious practice by the Romans. As anachronistic and sometimes difficult as such texts seem, my study partners and I have often found some beautiful observations about Jewish spirituality and community in their pages. My study of our foundational literature has helped me to find rich meaning in our prayers, even when I have trouble understanding the literal words. As I said earlier, until relatively recently, I had no clue what spirituality was, or whether and how I could get in on the spiritual action. Not long after I joined the temple, I attended an adult learning lecture by Rabbi David Jaffe. and began to read his Musar book, Changing the World from the Inside Out. Rabbi Israel Salanter in late 19th century Lithuania developed modern Musar, which has been made widely accessible in recent years by Rabbi Alan Marinis and many other Musar teachers. Briefly, Musar is a spiritual practice that helps us heighten our emotional awareness and bring our speech and behavior in line with our values. It was not a stretch to figure out that if I intentionally did small acts of kindness, such as calling my mother once a week, I would feel better about myself and about the rest of the world. Pretty quickly, I got hooked on Musar, my first time ever engaging with an activity intended specifically and directly to develop one's spiritual life and to make one a better person. Maybe most of us nailed these concepts at home when we were 5, but for me, Musar was a great review. Musar makes much more understandable and actionable some of what is taught in the Bible and the Talmud. I am more likely to give people the benefit of the doubt than I used to be. I am far less likely to say negative things about other people or to spread gossip. I even am a better driver since I learned how to channel patience and respect for others when I am at the wheel. We face tiny decision points throughout every day of our lives. Musar gives us the practical tools to recognize these decision points and to draw on our spiritual strengths so that we can do the right thing in moments when we waver. I would have to say that the most important thing I learned from Musar is greater mindfulness of gratitude. Like most people, I feel grateful when I have a pleasant experience or receive a kindness from someone else. From Musar, I have learned that I can at any time pause, notice the place and moment in which I find myself, live fully and feel blessed in that moment, and not in a fit of wishful thinking about what I don't have. Like when I remember that this community welcomed and absorbed me when I was recovering from personal and communal trauma. Like when I can freely sing along with everyone else. Like when the presence of other people has held me up when my strength and breath have seemed unequal to reciting the mourner's Kaddish in community. Like on Fridays when I anticipate the arrival of Shabbat, and I can take part of the day to transition from my crazy busy weekly schedule to a full day of rest, enjoyment, reflection, and community. And I feel very grateful to have been given the chance to think about and write these words. This process has helped me better to understand what is real, what is important, who I am, and even to feel better about myself. I am a Jew. What does this mean? There are some things I should not do, others that are good for me to do, and then there are those that I feel obligated to do. I am always learning to speak and act more carefully in order to avoid hurting people. I have begun to learn and practice small actions I can take as an upstander to reverse small harms inflicted by others. Then there are those public events that cause so much harm that they seem to tear the world apart, and my heart along with it. It is my responsibility as a Jew to take some action to acknowledge and memorialize the wrongness of such events, to not let them be forgotten or fade into the normal background. It is my responsibility to show up and thereby try and restore balance. I have attended vigils and mass gatherings after the 2017 racist mob and killing in Charlottesville, the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh, the mosque shooting in New Zealand, the separation of immigrant families, and a very recent white supremacist action targeting immigrants in Woburn. It is as Jewish to pause and mark these modern events as it is to observe public fasts that memorialize ancient tragedies such as the 9th of Av and others. I have attended moments of birth and moments of death in my personal and professional life. Before I ever gave any thought to spirituality, I knew that there are times when we have to stop what we are doing and fully inhabit a moment to keep it separate and sacred. I used to think that sanctification is an archaic word used in our ancient texts. I understand now that as a Jewish person, I must sanctify moments of life and moments of death, and of seeing and starting to heal rents in our precious world in our hearts. So why am I Jewish? How do I know that I'm Jewish? How does it feel, and where does it come from? I feel that I am part of a stream that comes from an ancient and deep place, or from a place that is so elevated and bright as to be beyond words or easy understanding. Perhaps Moses says it best in Deuteronomy chapter 29, verses 13 and 14. Here he addresses the Israelites assembled before him at Mount Sinai. I make this covenant with its sanctions, not with you alone, but both with those who are standing here with us this day before our God, and with those who are not with us here this day. The people who were not standing with him that day include all of us thousands of years later. I am Jewish because I am part of the covenant of this people, this stream of history. It is who we are, it is who I am, and I am still learning what it means.
We are gifts, we are blessings, we are history in song. We are hope, we are healing. We're learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories. May these stories we tell in sacred community continue l'dor vador, from generation to generation.
We are gifts, we are blessings, we are history in song. We are hope, and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words, and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. The door
generation to generation, l'dor vador, these lips will praise your name.
Looking back on the journey that we carry in our heart, from the shadow of a mountain to the waters that did part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your way, and the words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to say.
לדור ודור נגיד God lecha. לדור ודור we protect this chain. From generation to generation. לדור ודור these lips will praise your name. לדור ודור נגיד God lecha. לדור ודור we protect this chain. From generation to generation. לדור ודור these lips will praise your name.
We turn to page 254 for Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the reading of Torah. It is an honor to invite all those who are chanting Torah, as well as those who are chanting and blessing Haftarah, to the bima, as well as those who are carrying Torah. Pretty much if you got an email from Beth about the Torah, or lifting or dressing, let the reading of Torah be like a prayer, a meditation to remind us what we strive for, a chant that binds us to the chain of generations. I invite you to rise in body or spirit.
Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai ve'ein kema'asecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim u'memeshaltecha bechol dor vador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch leolam vaed. Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yevarech et amo vashalom. Av harachamim heitiva virtzoncha et Zion. Tevne chomot Yerushalayim. Tevne chomot Yerushalayim. Ki v'cha levad batachnu, melech el ram v'nisa, Adon olamim. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Notzer Chesed La'alafim, Nose Avon V'Fesha, V'Chata'a V'Nahakeh. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Notzer Chesed La'alafim, Nose Avon V'Fesha, V'Chata'a V'Nahakeh. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Notzer Chesed La'alafim, Nose Avon V'Fesha, V'Chata'a V'Nahakeh. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh v'norah Shemo, Gadalul Adonai iti, Uneromema Shemo Yachdav. Lecha Adonai Hagedula V'Hagevura V'Hatiferet V'Hanetzach V'Hahod Ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz Ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz Lecha Adonai hamamlacha v'amid na'aseh lechol erosh Romemu, Romemu, Adonai Eloheinu, V'hishtachavu, V'hishtachavu, Lahadom raglav kadoshu, Romemu, Romemu, Adonai Eloheinu, V'hishtachavu, V'hishtachavu, lehar kodsho, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, V'hishtachavu, lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, V'hishtachavu, lehar kodsho. Keep kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Romemu. Keep kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Romemu. Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, 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 shalom. All right, let's make it around. It is a tree of life. Shalom, 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 shalom. All right, switch your part. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. All right, let's do it one more time. It's a tree. Shalom, 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 shalom.
Our prayer book teaches that we can view these Torah readings and prophetic teachings as though they were mounted on the frame on our walls, hanging on our walls. On one side, there would be the frames of the words Unatana Tokef, those poignant words, who will live and who will die. And on the other, the Ashamnu, the Al-Chet, our confessions of wrongdoing, of defiance, of what tradition calls sin. If you see these two frames of prayers, you can see that the Torah and Haftarah readings are part and parcel, inseparable from the prayers that surround them. They are resonating with the themes of human frailty and human strength, of mortality and morality, of discoveries we make as we grow and mature, our obligations and responsibilities, and above all else, the reminder that Lynn so eloquently spoke about the choices that are in our hands, individually and as a community. The Torah reading can be found beginning on page 266 in your prayer book. As with Rosh Hashanah, we are offering our gratitude to all of the committees that do so much work to keep our synagogue the hub, the humming hub that it is. And so it is an honor to invite the Israel, the ritual, the caring, the personnel, and the membership committee up to the bima to offer blessings on this first Aliyah. It begins, you stand all of you this day in the presence of Adonai your God. A reminder that we are part of a chain of tradition where decisions now affect all of our future generations. An invitation to see our actions as the beginning of the lasting effect of our life.
Come on down, everyone.
Don't be scared of the Torah. Baruch Adonai Hamarach Leolam Vaed. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem livnei Adonai Elohechem rashechem shivtechem ziknechem v'shotrechem kol ish Yisrael tapechem nishechem v'gerecha asher b'kerev mechanecha mechotev etzecha Ad shoev memecha leavrecha bivrit Adonai Elohecha uve'alato asher Adonai Elohecha koreti mecha hayom.
Leman hakim otah hayom lo le'am vehu yehye leha l'Elohim ka'asher diber lach v'ka'asher nishba la'avotecha Avraham uLyitzhak v'Yaakov velo etem levadhem anoki koret et habrit hazot ve'et ha'ala hazot ki et asher yishlo po imanu omed hayom lifnei Adonai Eloheinu ve'et asher enenu po imanu hayom. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam atah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Everyone, thank you.
Our second aliyah reminds us, for this mitzvah which I command you this day is neither beyond you nor far away. Neither beyond you nor far away. Perhaps an invitation for us to reflect on our abilities, to begin to believe in ourselves again. It is an honor to invite the Education Committee, the Social Committee, the Safety Committee, the Nominating Committee, and I would love to invite the Service Production Committee, but you all are stuck to your chairs, so I hope you feel our invitation.
Natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Ki hamitzvah azot asher anochi mitzavcha hayom lo nifleit hi mimcha velo rechoka hi lo vashamayim hi lemor mi ya'ale lanu Hashamayma v'yikache lanu v'yashmi enu ota v'gifena asena v'lo me'ever layam hi lemor mi ya'avar lanu el ever hayam v'yikache lanu v'yashmi enu ota v'na asena karov ki karov elecha hadavar me'od b'ficha uvilvavcha la'asoto.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Do you ever have that moment when you're reading and your eyes read the words on the page, but not necessarily the periods and the commas, and you come away with a very different meaning initially than ultimately what you have? I had one of those with verse 15. I'm going to read it to you the way I read it initially, which I now realize is probably me rewriting the Torah, but that's a different problem. Behold, this day I placed before you life and well-being, death and hardship. In that I command you this day to love. I stopped there, and I liked it. And I want to invite all of you who feel that perhaps you are in a tight space, a space where sometimes it's hard to know the next step, what to do, but would consider adding a little love to the mix to see what happens. If that sounds like that might work in your life, or you'd at least be willing to give it a try, I invite you to stand in your seat and bless this third aliyah of Torah, those willing to try adding a little bit of love.
נתתי לפניך היום את החיים ואת הטוב ואת המוות ואת הרע אשר אנוכי צווה היום לאהבה את אדוני אלוהיך ללכת בדרכיו ולשמור מצוותיו וחוקותיו ומשפטיו והיית ורבית וברכך אדוני אלוהיך בארץ אשר אתה בשמה לרשתה ואם יפנה לבבך ולא תשמע, ונידקת, והשתחווית לאלוהים אחרים, ועבדתם.
Hitgadti lachem hayom ki avod tovedun lo ta'arichun yamim al ha'adamah asher ata over et hayadein lavoshama l'rishtaha ha'idoti v'chem hayom et hashamayim v'et haaretz hachayim v'hamavet natahati lefaneka habracha v'haklala uvakartaha b'chayim leman tikeh ata v'zarecha li'achavaha et aronaha ha'eloheka lishmoa bikolo uvdav kavo ki hu chayecha ve'ohorek yamecha lashevet al ha'adamah asher nishba Adonai la'avoteka le'avraham le'yitzak u'Yaakov לתת להם.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tovenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen.
I invite you to remain standing as we lift and dress the Torah as you are able.
Yisrael al pi Adonai be'ad Moshe.
The Haftarah is a prophetic passage. It comes as a critique of earlier Yom Kippur observances. Isaiah is confronting the people. He's asking, why do you fast? Why do you fast? Is it not to make the world a better place, to feed the hungry, to see the needs of those around you, and in your discomfort to be better able to turn to theirs and meet their needs?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divrehem hanemarim bemet Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'v'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek.
קרא וגרון אל תחשוך, כשופר הרם קולך, והגד לעמי פשעם, ולבית יעקב חטאותם. ואותי יום יום ידרשון, ודעת דרכי יחפצון, כגוי אשר צדקה עשה, ומשפט אלוהיו לא עזב. ישאלוני משפטי צדק, קרבת אלוהים יחפצון. למה שמנו ולא ראית? עינינו נפשנו ולא תדע. הן ביום צומכם תמצאו חפץ, וכל עצביכם תנגוסו.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zor kol ha'olamim, tzaddik b'kol hadorot, ha'el ha'neman ha'omer ve'oseh, ha'mdaber u'mkayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Al haTorah ve'al havodah ve'al hanvi'im ve'al yom haKippurim hazeh shenatat lanu Adonai Eloheinu limtila v'lislicha u'kapara lichavod u'tifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד, ודברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל. Whoops, I missed a part. מלך מוזך שכל וסולח לעוונותינו ולעוונות בעמו בית ישראל. עמו אוויר שמותינו בכל שנה ושנה. There we are. מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל, ביום הכיפורים.
Amen. Yasher koach. Gorgeous. You did a good job. You can go sit if you want. Yeah. Mazel. That was. Turn to page 290 for the return of the Torah to the Ark. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit.
יהללו את שם אדוני, כי נשגב שמו לבדו. הודו על ארץ ושמיים, וירם קרן לעמו. תהילה לכל חסידיו, לבני ישראל עם קרובו. הללויה, הללויה. עץ חיים היא, למחזיקים בה, ותומכיה מאושר דרכיה, דרכי נועם, וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה. חדש, חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו כקדם.
You may be seated. Most years, I stand up here and I talk to you about atonement, concentrating on the obligations and the steps necessary to make repairs. I speak about the work we need to do when we know we've done wrong. It's good stuff, if I must say so myself. But this year, I want to talk about forgiveness, about how and why we might respond when we're hurt. I went back and I checked. I've never spoken about forgiveness, despite the fact that most of us will be asked to forgive at some point in our lives, and particularly at this time of year when rabbis are in the habit of saying, you can't go to God for forgiveness until you've asked the person you've harmed. The larger American culture has a lot to say about forgiveness, most along the lines of turning the other cheek. And this time of year, I can't help but wondering, what is forgiveness? And what does it mean to grant it according to Judaism? Rambam, or Maimonides, the 12th century scholar, attempted to categorize most of Jewish life. His masterpiece, the Mishnah Torah, takes the chaos of the Talmudic discourse and files all of it into categories containing definitive rulings of Jewish law. Most of you who know me know that I love a neatly organized set of rules. I don't necessarily follow the neatly organized set of rules. I don't tend to think of them as universally applicable, so the definition of rule comes into question. But I think of them as an interesting place to start the conversation. So I went looking for the Rambam's rules on forgiveness. From him we learn that today we pray, Salach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement, to God. But between people, there are two, not three terms used in a discussion of forgiveness. They are slicha, the word you can translate as forgiveness, and mechila, the word you can translate as pardon. Atonement, kaper, doesn't really come into the human equation. And although we use them interchangeably in the English, forgive me, pardon me, in Jewish law, they are not the same. Salicha, forgiveness, includes an emotional element. It is a willingness to turn with compassion towards the perpetrator and acknowledge that they are worthy of mercy, even while knowing they have caused great harm. Mechila, or pardon, on the other hand, has the connotation of relinquishing a claim against an offender. And this one is perhaps not surprisingly much more frequently discussed in Jewish literature. Perhaps because it's transactional, it's simpler. No matter what emotions are involved, once mechila is granted, the victim acknowledges that the perpetrator made restitution, and they close the chapter. I recognize that the term victim is a nomenclature that is not everyone's preferred nomenclature. Neither slicha nor mechila presume that the relationship between the perpetrator and the victim is restored. Both require a tremendous amount of work, which we call teshuvah, by the perpetrator before either type of forgiveness can be requested. What does this look like in today's world? In May, it looked like my late night viewing of season 3 of Ted Lasso. It's not Barbie. In July, it looked like when I was watching The Bear. But today, let's stick to the wisdom I learned in the Richmond way. There is a character, Roy Kent, who gives an extraordinary press conference as a coach in season 3. How many of you watched Ted Lasso? All right. I'm going to catch the rest of you up anyway. Ready? Here's the backstory. The team captain, Isaac, has done the unthinkable during a game, jumped into the stands and physically attacked a fan who had used a homophobic slur against a gay but not out Richmond teammate. Roy enters the press conference after the game. I wish I could play you the clip. We certainly are technologically prepared to do that. But even with bleeps, I could not, in good conscience, put that on the bima on Yom Kippur. What I can tell you about the colorful language used by Roy Kent is that it was a near perfect example of slicha. Here's what he said. They're not just footballers. They're also people. And none of us know what's going on in each other's lives. So, for Isaac to do what he did today, even though it was wrong, I give him love. And as for why he did it, that's none of our bleeping business. He's gruff, he's foul-mouthed, good-hearted, and a beautiful example of slicha. He reminds us that people who have done wrong have done so for reasons that we can't know. He reminds us to assume that there are great swaths of people's lives that are hidden from us, and that they have a tremendous effect on their behavior. When we offer slicha, we say to a person, "You have caused me harm, and I choose to focus on your whole story, your humanity. One event need not define you." Then there's Coach Beard. We're back to Ted Lasso. He offers us an example of what mechila might look like when he forgives Nate, an ex-colleague who betrayed the team. Beard tells Nate the origin story of Beard's friendship with Ted Lasso, saying, "I stole from him, he forgave me, he gave me a job and a life, and to honor that, I forgive you. I offer you a job." It's mechila. Beard does not explore why he initially stole, or what vision of humanity made it possible for Ted to initially forgive. He doesn't ask about Nate's life beyond the field, or the reasons that caused him to betray the team. For Beard, it wasn't about the bigger picture. It was about a choice to move forward. He chose to replicate an act of forgiveness that once changed his life. He was choosing to close a door on an old injury. You know, I cried my way through late night in May, right? And it obviously got me thinking. Since all these months later, I'm giving you all a sermon on the two distinct kinds of forgiveness we are called to. I felt myself wondering in 5784, who do we want to forgive? What type of forgiveness can we offer them? Is it mechila? Is it slicha? Is it both? And how do we acknowledge that there may be situations in which neither would be safe or healthy for us to grant? Why do I keep coming back to that? Because I want to remind you that forgiveness does not mean a return to relationship. Because that would equate forgiveness and reconciliation, and they are not one and the same. You can offer forgiveness and not return to the relationship. Dangerously, our culture sends a message that demands forgiveness of a victim, sometimes further victimizing them. This happens to individuals, and it happens at the collective level. Historically, the demand for forgiveness has been weaponized by those in power who prioritize preserving a status quo over a search for truth and justice. Part of the split we see happening in the American discourse today, I believe, is between those who want to tell stories that include our mistakes and asking forgiveness for them, and those who would rather whitewash history to avoid the discomfort associated with making amends. These uses and abuses have corrupted the meaning of forgiveness. But in 5784, I don't want to perpetuate those cycles. And so I remind you that forgiveness and reconciliation are not one and the same. But neither do I find myself wanting to say, Salach lanu, Michal lanu, Kaper lanu. I don't want to look to the heavens and proclaim that forgiveness is in God's hands, because I think we can do it too. On Yom Kippur, we acknowledge that each of us has caused harm and been harmed, not all at equal levels. In 5784, we get to choose what kind of forgiveness to offer and what kind to seek. Gamar chatima tova, may you be inscribed for blessing in the book of life. We turn to our service of forgiveness, page 292. Trust in your compassion, for you know who we are. Shema Kolenu, Adonai, hear our call. Page 294. Shema Kolenu,
Shema Kolenu, Shema Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chos v'rachem aleinu, Chos v'rachem aleinu, v'kaber b'rachamim uvratzon et tefilatenu, v'kaber b'rachamim uvratzon et tefilatenu. Shema Kolenu, Shema Kolenu, Shema Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chos v'rachem aleinu, Chos v'rachem aleinu, Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh Yameinu kikedem, Chadesh Yameinu kikedem, Shema Kolenu, Shema Kolenu, Shema Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chos v'rachem aleinu, Chos v'rachem aleinu.
96, and rise in body or in spirit. Please join with me. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence, and when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have
stumbled and strayed, have done wrong. Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Debarnu Dofi, Hevinu, Vehirshanu, Zadnu, Chamasnu, Tafalnu Sheker, Yahatznura, Kizavnu, Latznu, Maradnu, Niatznu, Sararnu, Avinu, Pashanu, Sararnu, Kishinu Orev, Yai-dai-dai-dai-dai, Yai-da-da-dai-dai-dai, Yai-da-da-dai-dai-dai. Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tainu, Titanu, Yai-dai-dai-dai-dai, Yai-da-da-dai-dai-dai, Yai-da-da-dai-dai-dai.
Continue on page 300.
אחרי שחטאנו לפניך באונס וברצון, ואחרי שחטאנו לפניך ביודעים ובלא יודעים, the ways we have wronged you under duress and by choice, and harm we have caused in your world consciously and unconsciously, אחרי שחטאנו לפניך בבלי דעת, ואחרי שחטאנו לפניך בריצת רגליים להרע, the ways we have wronged you through our thoughtlessness, and harm we have caused in your world through impulsive acts of malice, אחרי שחטאנו לפניך בחוזק יד, ואחרי שחטאנו לפניך בזלזול הורים ומורים, the ways we have wronged you by abusing our power, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers, אחרי שחטאנו לפניך ביצר הרע, ואחרי שחטאנו לפניך בקשיות עורף, the ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through inflexibility and stubbornness. אחרי שחטאנו לפניך בכחש ובכזב, ואחרי שחטאנו לפניך בקלות ראש, the ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world by making light of serious matters. אחרי שחטאנו לפניך בשיח שפתותינו, ואחרי שחטאנו לפניך בצרות עין, the ways we have wronged you in our routine conversation, and harm we have caused in your world through envy. ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו, ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו.
We continue on page 310. You may be seated.
כי אנו עמך ואתה אלוהינו, אנו בניך ואתה אבינו, אנו עבדיך ואתה אדוננו, אנו קהלך ואתה חלקנו, אנו נחלתך Lecha ve'ata yosreinu anu rayatecha ve'ata dodeinu anu segulatecha ve'ata keroveinu anu amecha ve'ata makenu anu mamirecha ve'ata mamirenu yaidai 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 yaidai.
Just as with yesterday evening's service, this morning we don't conclude our services because this day is, we hope, one long day of prayer and reflection, no matter where your prayer and reflection happens. That said, transitions do happen in our sanctuary here over these next couple hours, and a few announcements before they begin. Thank you, thank you, thank you to each and every one of you, to everyone who gave of themselves to make today so special. Find a person. Say thank you. It'll be well received, I promise. If you could take your prayer books on the way out back to the side tables, that would be a real gift to those who help do the setup and the cleanup. Services will continue this afternoon here in our sanctuary, but always available online. With Rabbi Rim's teaching and Rabbi Rim and Alyssa Eli are co-teaching at 2 o'clock. So we'll take a little bit to transition. Rabbi Suzanne Offit will be leading our healing service, and a change of scheduling has meant that she will be here in the sanctuary. And it will be an online interactive experience, so you can participate from wherever you want to participate from, and that will be at 3:30. And then at 5, our music meditation and Yisker service begins. It is an honor.
Nope. And with the words, Oseh Shalom, let's sing it all together. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, 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 ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael.